Yeah, yesterday, Lisa, LinkedIn, she just put on there, and I think she has a video that if y'all haven't seen, check it out, talking about credit card fees.
Yes.
We had a good exchange. A lot of the pharmacies are finding out that it's possible to add on credit card fees. I'd had some concerns. I texted her about it. She texted me right back. I'm special. So she might not text you back much.
That's right. You're special.
But one of my concerns was, hey, we were kind of a person's paying more than a copay. Is that a are you allowed to do that? Especially with a Medicare patient. If a Medicare patient had a $5 copay, can I charge $5.75? But Lisa had done the work. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, give us the breakdown of that.
Yeah. So when kind of this movement, I'll say, because it's not just in pharmacy, it's really, from restaurants to regular retail stores to online commerce, there's kind of this movement of shifting the burden of credit card fees from the company to the consumer. And so when this really started picking up, probably about 2 years ago in pharmacy, because my assumption was right along with yours, Jeff, was that, oh gosh, we can't charge more than the copay, so there's no way a pharmacy can do this. But I have some really awesome friends that are pharmacy lawyers and pharmacy consultants. And, I used to teach a PBM class with them, and I've read the contracts, and, I've kind of been in that world for a few years. So I was like, let me go ask the experts, like, what do they think? And so we got a little powwow together, and we went back and reread through all the contracts and read some opinions and talked to some other people. And, it all came out that it's okay because one, you're not charging more than the copay. The patient is paying $5, I'll just say, for their drug. That's all you're charging for the copay. If they want an optional service, whether it's an extra bottle of Tylenol, they want delivery of their medications, if they want things in 10 bottles or, something extra, you're allowed to charge for those extra services. Those are implicitly included, everything you could do in that reimbursement, if you will, for that prescription. It is really important that you have to have ways that people can pay you where there is no charge. You can't just say, we only accept credit cards and there's always a 3% fee or whatever. Or you can't make that the only way people can pay. So as long as, they can pay cash, they can pay check, they can, whatever.
And debit cards. Isn't it true that debit cards, you can't mark up? Is that accurate? I thought I saw that.
The debit card fees are a lot lower than credit cards. They're usually a flat fee. They're depending on obviously your processor. And how all of this works. And so there's a couple things. You bring up a good point. So there's a couple things to take into play. There's the PBM contract side, which we're kind of addressing, and then it's like commercial, federal. There's a lot of things to think of there. But then there's also like commerce laws and like money laws, and states and counties can actually have different rules. And so what I've learned in kind of researching different things as pharmacies have reached out to me is these obviously vary by location and vary either by state or the county or different things. And so some states are like, man, we're hands off, like whatever y'all want to do, like it's consumer pre-business, that they'll decide. And then others are like, you can't charge a surcharge for a credit card fee, but you can charge a cash discount. And so in those instances, for example, then layering that on top of your PBM rules, you can't discount a copay.
Right.
So if you were going to do that, you can't give people a cash discount on a copay because you have to collect the full amount. So it's like, you can't do that on copays, but you could do it with your OTC, or you could do it with, something else that isn't controlled by that PBM contract. And so there are definitely some nuances there. And what I tell people is this is not a pharmacy issue. The best place to get information on what's happening in your neck of the woods, in your county, your state, your parish or whatever, reach out to your local business associations, whether that's, SBA or BDB, or maybe you're even local banks. They provide a lot of guidance on some of this stuff. Get ingrained with like the local business area, so you can get educated on what's required for yours. But it is an awesome way to move some of those fees. And some pharmacy owners are completely against it. They're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you would ever think of that. And then other pharmacies owners are like, man, I now save $10,000 a month because my consumers are paying my
that can
credit
be a
card
lot.
fee. You know,
Yep.
so I think it's cultural. I've in certain areas, like here in Texas, I'm seeing more and more and more where businesses are adding a credit card fee or
Yep.
adding a surcharge or things like that. And so I think it's a little bit of culture of like what your other businesses are doing. If you're a pharmacy and you're the only business in town that is doing that, probably not going to go over so well.
Right.
But if every other boutique and every other place of business is adding it and you just join the pack, probably nobody's going to bat an eye.
Yeah. One thing to note, though, in that when you're talking about, hey, I could do my OTCs and copay, I do believe the brands require you have to do it across the board to everything. You can't do some things with a credit card markup and some things not on part of your brand as the card brands, the merchant agreement.
Yeah, it's probably, and it's probably hard to do it differently anyways. I mean, like when you set all this up in your systems, it's not something that you're just bouncing around and changing from time to time. You could do things where, because normally how it works is the POS system, sometimes the POS systems aren't set up to do this. So if you want to charge people the surcharge or where they pay the fee, are usually using like an external POS system, which does create some complexity and does create some extra steps. But you could say, hey, for all my people that I do monthly billing for, a lot of pharmacies still do monthly billing. And if you pay a monthly billing all at once in your credit card, there's no fee, because honestly, charging an entire month's worth of fees in one transaction is a whole lot less costly than, 20 individual transactions throughout the month. And so, so like there's other ways that you could probably do that. But you're processing, you're processing it different, at the point of sale.
You're using a different merchant account.
Card.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I keep waiting to get the call where like, and we're going to add that to the pharmacy system so that they can figure that out different places. But I'm waiting to get the call like, we want to add tips. It's everybody's adding tips now.